This is Yak Attack. This is a 64,000 square foot building that we operate in. You know, what Yak Attack is known for, you know, from our product wise, it's injection molded parts. And that is, you know, that is what everything, you know, really revolves around.
Yep.
I'd say, you know, 90% of our product line is injection molded parts that we manufacture right here in this building. Even to our storage here in Yak Attack, where we store our things. These are BlackPak panels that didn't make it through quality control, so we made scrap packs.
Scrap packs. I like it.
You know, track packs here ready for assembly.
So what goes into like what makes something not good enough for the consumer? Like what are some things? Discoloration, maybe just a...
Yeah, so you really wouldn't notice it, you know, maybe if it wasn't pointed out, but you can see this kind of starburst splay here in the panel. So that was just, you know, something wrong with the colorant that went through.
Sure.
Sometimes, you know, we'll get a short shot through here where maybe a little bit of that corner wasn't molded.
Okay.
You know, just something that's
not
as
QC.
Perfect as it should be. And then on through here, as you can see, we have parts stacked up everywhere. This is kind of a little bit of a storage area. Yep. Again, it's always revolving here with extra parts. You got leaderboards. We have the 16-inch short stack panels.
I like it.
Then, you know, get into some of the assembly lines here. But here we have our 5 injection molding machines.
All right.
This one here is our largest. It's a 500-ton machine. Woo. So it holds that mold together, you know, with 500 tons of force.
Wow.
You know, obviously it's a thin panel.
Yeah,
so to get that molten plastic through everything, it's got to push it really hard.
Yep.
We'll take a look at this one here. So this big tower thing here on the side is a dryer.
Okay.
And so this material, it's going to have a little bit of moisture to it. And so if it runs through the machine that way with moisture in it, the parts are going to look terrible.
Okay.
You know, they're going to have all kinds of crevices and voids and, you know, aesthetically look really bad. So everything runs through the dryer here to get the moisture out of it. Then into that hopper, and then everything runs through the sprue here.
Okay. Oh wow.
Or the screw, excuse me. And so basically this has heat bands all the way around it.
Oh, I see them in there.
And so it melts the plastic as it comes through.
This is where the pressure happens.
It shoots into the machine, so this will close. It'll shoot the plastic in, it opens back up, and then this robot arm here, which those little robot hands, I guess you would call it, the little grabby things, that's all custom designed here in the house.
Okay.
In-house. And so we have different ones that pull different types of products through.
Wow.
But when this machine...
All for a panel.
Yeah.
All
and
that.
so yeah, we bought this machine when we, you know, started the BlackPaks originally. It's the first product to ever run through these machines were the BlackPaks.
Okay.
And when the Millicron technicians came to get everything hooked up and running, at that time, what, 3 years ago or so, it's the largest of its kind in North America.
Oh wow.
Now there are much bigger injection molding machines, but they're your old school hydraulic machines. This being, you know, fully electric automated machine. Again, at the time it was the largest, you know, in North America. I don't know if that's changed or not at this point, but.
And you got 5 of them.
Yeah, so we have 5, all different sizes. They shoot all kinds of different things.
And you got different plastics that go through these?
Right, right. So yeah, different types of...
That looks like chopped up plastic.
Yeah, so most people say, hey, it's plastic parts, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, we run different types for, you know, different things. So our BlackPaks and, you know, bigger things like that, we're going to use a polypropylene, which is a, you know, a lighter weight material.
Yep.
But for things that really take a lot of abuse, rod holders and other things, we're going to be using, you know, nylon. So we have just plain nylons. We have glass-filled nylons, which is the fiberglass, you know, filled nylon for, you know, much
more
stronger
strength,
part.
right?
So what you're holding here
is rubber.
Yeah. So basically rubber. It's actually a Sanaprene.
Okay.
And so we have different durometer Sanaprenes, which the durometer is basically, you know, how soft or hard that rubber is for different uses. So some of the things like the friction washer on the bottom of the LockNLoad base, it's going to be a pretty, you know, flimsy little piece of rubber.
Right.
But then you get into your treads for your tow and stow wheels.
Same.
You know,
a
little bit harder piece of rubber there. And I'm putting my hands all up in it.
Get on my plastic.
Obviously, we create a lot of scrap when we make injection molded parts.
Sure.
And so we're actually able to grind a lot of that up in our granulator down there. And reuse a lot of that waste back into this.
Okay.
So for rubber, we can actually reshoot 100% of the rubbers, the Sanaprines.
Yep.
When you get into your nylons, anything more than 10%, you're not going to get quality parts.
Got it.
So that's you could probably push it 15 to 20, but we stop it at 10.
All right.
So we get to reuse that stuff and keep running it through. And again, these machines, I mean, we run. We're getting back into the busy season, kicking things off. Big OEM orders for different boat manufacturers. So they're running 2 shifts. They're in here at least 6 days a week most of the time.
Okay. Does it shut down? Do you guys run through the night?
I mean, yeah, parts of the night. As things continue to grow, I mean, we'll probably one of these days hit 3 shifts for injection molding.
All right.
But before things can be injection molded, right, we have to make molds.
The molds.
Yeah. So this is actually our mold assembly table.
This is what we just saw down there.
Yeah, so this is
side of the
16-inch short stack panel. So we have the A side and the B side. Obviously, 2 halves come together to make a short stack. And they're all made out of solid aluminum blocks right here in our engineering department. Over here we have all of our larger molds that are going to go in that big 500. So from our BlackPak panels to the tow and stow wheels to the leaderboard itself.
Let's go check this out.
So they're going to start right here as just solid chunks of aluminum. And when our designers, they create a part, once they've designed it, they create a negative of that part.
Okay.
And the mold designers, they use that negative to then design molds around it.
Okay.
And from there, CNC the blocks. And that's really our superpower here at Yak Attack, is our mold making and the tooling capabilities. When Luther first got started in this, he couldn't afford to, outsource steel molds overseas. Like, I mean, that's really the only way to do it with big steel molds. So he was going to do it with aluminum.
Okay.
Because it was easier to work with and, cut and machine everything, and everybody told him that wasn't going to work, he was going to fail. Now with your steel molds, you're talking about running hundreds of thousands of parts all the time.
Right.
For things. We're not that big yet.
Yeah.
So we're running thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, when you get into big products like the Omega rod holders. So over time that will wear down because it's aluminum.
Sure.
But at that point we're probably going to be making a revision to it.
Yeah, you need to do an iteration anyways.
Recutting another mold. But again, these are the larger ones
down here. Yeah.
And so they run all kinds of different things. You have your springs, your ejector pins. So once your part is shot inside of it and that injection molding machine opens up, there's a plunger on the back that'll push this to press
down,
those springs, and those ejector pins will pop the part out.
Creates the void. Got it.
And so we have our tire tread here for the tow and stow wheels. The Zuka 2. This is actually a OEM part there. AR tube.
What's this big girl?
So the big one down here on the end is the leaderboard mold.
All right.
The biggest, most expensive mold that we've ever created.
It looks expensive.
For now. But yeah, that only gets moved around with a forklift and crane.
Got it.
You are not picking that bad boy up.
That's awesome. I love it.
So let's cut back into our engineering department and show you guys where these things are actually made. We have some test shot parts over here. Not quite ready for production. I don't know if anybody can tell me what that is.
Oh, I know what it is. Tell me in the comments if you think you know what it is. This is new too. Can we talk about this?
Sure. So yeah, we've talked about that a little bit here recently. You guys got to see it at ICAST, but that was a very rough 3D printed part.
Okay.
I think you're upside down.
Upside down.
So yeah, we have the new Cup Holder Pro. So it's going to be a riggable cup holder.
Yeah.
Most people that have the cup holder on their kayak, they use it for everything but a beverage holder.
100%. It's a bait graveyard. It's 100%.
Ripped up baits and pieces of braid and
all the lures I went
through. Wrappers. Yeah, we have our first test shots of this coming out.
Okay.
So we're going to make some tweaks. We actually just did, the original design. And this is one of those things that you have to work through in molding and this mold design. At first, these were kind of sticking on one side of that mold, and so somebody had to come in there and pull it out.
Oh, okay. And
then they come back in and they make a little modification, a little undercut, so it spits out properly. So it looks like this was shot over the weekend, so it looks like we have some good cups here moving forward.
Almost finished product. So maybe coming soon to a Yak Attack website near you. All right.
This will launch with all the full line of accessories.
Yeah.
So a lot of those are still in development, but we have the tool holder here.
Oh, okay.
So you can see, we're talking about the modifications of those parts. So that's what we try to prevent, you know, going back through this process. So what you have here is flash.
Got it.
And not the good kind of flashy, you know. But so that's just where plastic got through the mold where it wasn't supposed to.
Got it.
And made some bad parts. Bait bucket there on the side.
I like it. So when you buy the cup holder, will it come with all these, or can you like buy this and be like, I want that one and that one?
Yeah, so you'll have full options. You're gonna have an option for just the cup.
Yep.
And be able to purchase all the accessories, whatever accessory you want individually. But we're also going to have a fully loaded option.
Makes sense.
That's going to come with, you know, your basic attachments.
Yep.
Then we're also going to have the trash trap version, which is going to have a different style lid, but basically a rubber pie cut, so you can just put your trash in it. That's something I have been wanting for years.
Just so it don't blow out in the water and so forth.
Right.
I like it.
You flip your boat, you know, all that junk is going to stay right in there.
Is this the trash lid?
No, well, that is actually an early test shot of just some junk material of the earlier lid that we ended up redesigning.
Okay.
So that hinge wasn't working very well.
Right.
You know, where it locked into this, and sometimes this is the stuff that kind of sets us back, you know, in development. I'm putting that on upside down. But so, you know, in theory, this worked pretty good as a concept. Actually, this has got some flash on it, so it's not going to pop in there. But the problem was when you open this off, it would pop out and fall off into the water. So it went back, redesigned.
Part of R&D.
Cut a new mold, right? Exactly. Just reason for one of the delays in the anchor reel.
Ah, there you go.
We get a lot of crap about.
You gotta get it. You gotta get it just right.
Yeah. So this is our mold making department. We have Alex over here, one of our mold designers and mold engineers, and this is the bigger machine. This is our Akuma. And so this thing is running through a program here now, cutting one of these parts we were talking about.
Okay.
And as our programming and our coding has gotten better, this process gets a little bit faster.
Yep.
But what was it, 2021, I think it was, when we launched the double header paddle holder.
Yep.
So obviously the boomerang shape of that double header, I mean, that's one whole program itself.
Okay.
But just that little American flag, made in the USA logo that's written on there was a 40-hour runtime in this machine to cut that logo into it.
Oh, wow.
Because it's such a small tool that cuts it.
Yep.
You know, basically, the cutter is kind of like a drill bit, almost. But it's so small to do that fine detail, you run it too fast, it'll break your tool.
Okay.
So again, that was a big one. But we have all kinds of other things here. Looks like we have our sand tire hub.
Oh, there you go.
Some more of the lids here for the Cup Holder Pro.
Hey, everyone's trying to piece together. Hey, what is that? What's the inverse of that? I like it.
Back here, I mean, we have everything from cutters to lathes. I mean, you name it.
Back there?
If we need it, we make it.
You make it. All right, make it in-house.
So yeah, it's not just the cool Yak Attack accessories. It's everything it takes to make the accessories.
You essentially got a machine shop.
Yeah. Right. So that's again one of the really cool things about Yak Attack is it's not the products that everybody sees.
Yeah.
It's everything that we manufacture and make here in order to make those accessories.
Now this looks familiar to everybody.
Yep.
That was the new cup holder you guys got. All right.
So again, that is the mold assembly bench.
Got it.
So the rest of our molds are in here. So obviously we make tons of Yak Attack products, a ton of OEM parts for a lot of boats out there on the market.
Yeah.
This is the mold room. Okay. So just mold after mold, hundreds of different parts here, and all stored in. Let's take a look at one of these molds here, see what we've got.
I know what that is.
That's the ShortStack hinge. That's what that is.
There's a difference?
It's different. It's more rounded here, so you get more articulation. The BlackPak lid hinges actually have a stop.
Right here. Yeah.
So yeah, that's the ShortStack. And behind us here.
Now I want to play like guess the part by looking through all your molds.
Yeah, here it's just nothing but ejector pins that go into these molds when they assemble them.
Yeah.
So you know we have different lengths, different diameters, and just as you can see, it's a lot of options.
Yeah.
Here.
So wait, these look familiar.
Oh, absolutely. You've got a new
PowerLink
native. You've probably seen these.
Heck yeah.
You know, I think as kayaks continue to evolve, you know, at least in our realm, I think you see a lot more things like this. You know, I'm actually surprised that FluxJet is one of the first kayak companies to tackle the fully, you know, wired and rigged, you know, just
motor integrated,
plug and play
go,
type of kayaks out there. I mean, I thought it would have come a lot sooner, but those guys are on it and they're doing good things. So I'm really happy to see one of those in this shop here.
We got stuff coming off the conveyor belt.
Right. We've got parts coming out of the machine. And so depending on what the part is and the size of the part, this thing will, shoot parts and open up about every 45 seconds or so on average.
Pop one out?
Yeah, smaller parts maybe 30. But so it'll shoot that plastic in, and it needs time to cool.
Yeah.
And the bigger the part, you see we have cooling lines that run from this big chiller right over here. And so a lot of these actually have coolant pumped through the mold to help cool them a little bit faster. But again,
these are warm. I know you can't feel them, but
yeah, be careful with the fresh one.
That'll burn you.
They get processed by our degating team. So basically, once you pop it off of that gate, you might have a little rough edge right here.
Yep.
Shave that down a little bit, then they'll box it all up and get this shipped out for our OEM order. And then we were talking about that waste. We have the sprue here, basically the runner that the plastic comes into the mold on.
Yep.
And this is the stuff that we get to grind up and reuse.
I like it. I like it. All right.
Ooh, look at there.
It feels warm.
Those white tether tubes?
Tether tubes. What? I've never seen a white tether. Is this coming new to market or no?
Yeah, here pretty soon.
Woo.
Just waiting on me to get some time to do some photography.
Come on, hurry up.
Building.
Stop taking videos with hack job YouTubers and get some stuff
taking
done.
Up my time.
Like saltwater colored.
All right, sacrificial skid. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, so the shorter one here is going to be for the RS-117.
Yep.
The bigger ones your SS models got.
Bonafide again.
Whole
This
bunch
is
of
a
those.
bonafide train.
Whole bunch of those.
Is that sucking plastic in?
Yeah. So again, so it's come from the dryer,
Right.
where it's dried the moisture out of that material, and now it's sucking it through there into the hopper.
Okay.
And so it goes from the hopper into that screw where it melts it along that screw up to the mold.
Oh, there it is. Just drop it in, Jake. So question, I'm looking at all this. How much of Yak Attack products do you actually make here in the US? Imagine it's looking around the majority.
Oh, absolutely. 95% or so.
All right. All right.
Up until, this past year when we first really started dabbling, in some soft goods,
Yeah.
I mean, it was basically 100%.
Yeah.
As our former purchasing manager, the only, goods that we purchased outside of the U.S. were batteries.
Yeah.
And then the rubber netting on the leverage landing nets, which that's the only place in the world it's made is Taiwan, actually.
Okay.
But yeah, then obviously some things changed. We started playing in some other categories, trying to put that special Yak Attack, touch on some different things that we can't actually do in this building.
Sure.
From, dry bags to the backpacks, some things that I actually use every day and love.
Yeah, I love them.
I got it didn't go over so well with people, but,
But it's 5% of your business. 95% still made right here where we're standing.
Yeah, and that's the great thing is why we're happy to have you is to really, remind people and show people that how much actually happens in this building.
Yeah, those are the cart kickstands.
Yep. And so anytime that we do colored parts, we don't, just put orange pellets. You saw the black pellets.
Right.
We actually use a kind of slightly white translucent material called, it's just natural material.
Yeah.
And then we hand mix the little beads of color into it, and once it melts,
Just jump through the color.
Yep.
I like that. I thought we saw that over there for a hot second. It was a smaller box.
Yeah.
And just a few orange pellets will really make it happen.
So it's like 3%.
Oh, wow.
Of the little orange pellets.
We'll get that dark of a color.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so depending on the parts or what we're doing, I mean, that can vary from, usually from 2 to 3%, sometimes 5% on certain parts.
Yeah.
I think the orange buckle covers for the cam straps, I think those were 5%. That was a different material that we used. So to get that color right, and that's things we have to tinker with and play with and make a lot of bad parts and junk to get it right.
A bunch
sometimes.
of parts.
But yeah, but running it out of that translucent natural material, it gives us the ability to on the fly, change things up a whole lot versus having just one whole giant bin of orange material. Like you have to push that to the side. No, we can mix up that small portion, then bring it in, switch it over, run some gray, run some green.
Right. Makes sense.
Like green latches.
I feel like I'm on like Mr. Rogers when I was growing up, and you would they go how it's made, how the candy's made. Mm-hmm. This is it.
Yeah,
we're not even like 20% into this. So show me more.
All right. So we'll come around the back side of the machines. where all the parts come out. All these red bins, this is kind of our quality control department, so if they're getting bad parts that we need to really take a look at and figure out what's going on, what's wrong with them,
Got it.
they end up over here. And it took me a second to notice that one, but what do you see?
Oh, it's the hole's plugged up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that ended up over here because one of those holes flashed over.
Got it.
So obviously they had to address the problem with the mold, get that running right. Go from there.
I like it.
So all these parts come out, even our knobs. So anytime we run these Yak Attack knobs that are all over everything, we actually have a technician that will load these threaded inserts into the machine.
Okay.
Close the door. He'll shoot out the knobs. They drop down, hit the conveyor. He'll load the inserts onto the plate again, and just runs that process over and over and over until you get hundreds of knobs. Most all these parts, they need a little bit of TLC once they come out of the machine.
Like polished.
Yeah, so we're talking about those gates, you know, where everything breaks off of that sprue.
Yep.
So some of that needs to be kind of shaved off.
You got your track pack bases.
Yep, so track pack base is here, so when that pops off, you get a little sharp piece right here.
So you have people here that will trim that up or sand it down
and again, 99% is going to come through here nice and clean. I'll say we are people, and sometimes things get missed. So, if you ever get a sharp edge and cut your finger,
just do it yourself.
Just let us know.
Or get a sander out and do it.
Things do slip through. We are human. So again, this is the degating department. These parts get processed. They get boxed into, whatever package size. We have a standard for all that. So like this part, you get a box of 60. This part, you get a box of 500.
Okay.
And then they get shelved, and then they run through all of our assembly lines, where we'll head to next.
Lunchroom.
Yep, that's Snack Attack.
Snack Attack. Snack.
That's Yak Attack.
Yak Attack. Oh man, you're meant to work here.
Yep. I'm gonna guess Omegas.
Yep.
All these shelves here are all of our purchase goods. Anything that we need to buy, from our vendors to make our products. Again, from AA batteries,
tape, and all that stuff.
The carbon tubing, which is basically the same kind of carbon like your arrows, Easton arrows are made from. But that carbon tube for the Carbon Pros.
Yep.
So anything like that we need, and then it flows next into the lines. And everything is kind of set up where it's actually close by the line that it needs to be made on.
Got it.
So coming in here first, and one of our most popular and busiest lines is going to be the LockNLoad.
Okay.
So real quick, we'll turn this on. Our master fabricator, Bob, all these little fixtures, we call them, but all these mechanical devices that we assemble this stuff. Again, this is all custom designed and tooled and machined right here in this building. So he's actually built this when it's all set up pneumatically.
Oh, wow.
And it holds for safety. We used to have a little peg there that you put the hole in, rotate it up to drill your hole for your pin.
It's all pneumatic now.
Yep.
Boom.
It goes through. It's got a counter on it, so we know how many.
How many you've got done? All right.
We do. So next, we get our safety latch and triggers.
Yep.
Everything right here. So again, all pneumatic. You load that bad boy in there, clamps it in, pulls that back a little bit. You get your trigger and your safety. Those two pieces together. The pin goes in.
Done.
So we actually used to do this by hand.
Oh, that sounds like a pain in the butt.
We had somebody over here shaking a whole table with this manual thing, this press, running these pins in is how we used to do it. A souvenir?
Souvenir. Handmade. Can you sign it? Wade, can you sign this one? It'd be good luck.
I don't want to devalue it. So moving on down, we have our cup holder line. Here we have Dee and Connor. They're actually building visibility flags.
Okay. Oh, that's how you get that on there. You gotta shove air under there.
So yeah, forced air. Otherwise, it'd be really impossible. So again, that's all a pneumatic pedal there. And so use that compressed air to force that foam down on the tubing.
Ooh, I like what I see in the distance. One of my favorite.
Oh yeah.
One of my favorite Yak Attack tools.
So this is our RotoGrip line. I think they're actually working on an OEM order for a different company right now. They're running some different components. Again, more cool stuff. Nice little pedal here.
Oh yeah.
But so this is the classic RotoGrip. You have your base. You've got your pins. So we'll load those in the machine. Get our RotoGrip wheels, and I'm very picky. You can kind of see that parting line where it comes out of the mold.
Yeah.
So I always like to line those up just because I'm a weirdo. But so you take your brass insert, and we do use brass because one is non-corrosive. It's going to hold up to the elements. But if that were a stainless nut on the stainless Mighty bolt, you're going to get a process which is called galling, which is that stainless on stainless will cause it to seize up. So that's why we use brass here. To it, we'll put that rubber bumper in there. Hit our pedal. Got a RotoGrip, the rubber Sanaprene stackable washer, and then your Mighty bolt. And then I'll actually go into the packaging and get all folded up. You guys see how it looks pretty when it's on the shelf. But
there it is.
We have a custom-built RotoGrip. In our purchase goods, this is hardware. I've lost track of how many different individual pieces of hardware that we have. It was right at 100 3.5 years ago when I was the purchasing manager, but we've added a lot of different parts, you know, in products since then. So we've added springs and other screws and all kinds of things. Again, we have our anchor trolley line. We have a huge cart right here of command stands that look like we're in the process of building. They're to go into the finished goods department here soon. But a lot of these different lines from, you know, our track, the MightyMount XLs, you name it, all the way down through. A lot of these get rotated to make different products.
Here we go.
So
I'm hoping I can walk home with one of these.
So yeah, people keep asking when is that new net going to launch? Well, looks like we're getting pretty close, guys.
Looks pretty close.
Yep.
So you made some. I covered this when we were at ICAST, but you made some iterations to the net.
Right. So
walk us through what those are.
I think we had an old net over here somewhere, one of the old hinges. That one's actually not assembled, but so you know the old hinge
was pressure.
You know, it was great.
Yeah, it was
but yeah, it was made to, you know, when you pushed on it, it would pop loose.
Yep.
But you see a lot of things. I saw a video here recently where the guy had the net upside down and he's trying to get his fish like that, and the thing was flopping the whole time, not staying locked in. Now a lot of those are pretty tight when they're first made, but they will wear in over time, and sometimes it's a little too easy.
Yep.
But I will say you shouldn't slap the water when you go to net that fish. You know, you should kind of stab it. But anyways.
Use my knee. Just use my knee.
I do?
To break it loose.
There you go.
Yep.
So again, yeah, it's time for a redesign. So now this all works in a trigger system.
Yep.
So it'll stay connected until you want to release it.
I like it.
And so as we've gotten better at doing what we do and invested in more, you know, more machinery, we're able to make this thing and add new features to it, like the logo or the lasered logo here on it.
Oh, it's lasered in. All right.
So and again, these are all built one piece at a time. You know, from cutting the length of the handles to the custom bending of the hoops, and they're putting on the netting. Everything is done one step at a time. And so for years, that logo was just one of our decals.
It was a nice, and it comes off over time after use.
Yeah, you scratch it one time, but after picking up the laser in order to do the leaderboard, that enabled us to, you know, advance this product a little bit better. So now that's lasered on, and it's not gonna.
You get the American flag
I really
lasered
think
on
that's cool.
inside.
You see the development, you know.
I like it.
You know how it changes. So yeah, you know, taking some of that part weight out, you know, making it easier mold for us to manufacture. You know, we had this little gap in here, and so why not put that beautiful
you got a laser use
American flag in there?
Can you read the custom laser engraving orders?
Ooh, we haven't quite got there yet, but there are talks about it.
Okay.
You know, even custom leaderboards, different things like that.
People will lose their minds.
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised nobody has called me out in any of the videos that I've done, because
have you done some custom lasering to your own?
Yeah. Well, each individual leaderboard has a different unique ID number engraved on it. So we'll get to a process here where we're working on a Yak Attack tournament, leaderboard tournament specific. So you would register that ID number. Yeah. So, you know, people aren't sharing boards or anything, you know, like that. But mine actually is custom engraved with Silver Fox on my Battleship Gray leaderboard.
Come on.
I'm surprised nobody has seen it and then called me out on it yet. But how do I get that?
I don't want one of these nets today. Then I want it custom lasered. Like,
so we haven't done
fox fishing.
Custom lasered nets yet. That was leaderboard.
Okay.
But so we have all of our tubing down here, you know, for net handles. So it comes through, it gets cut down, then into this custom builder and the bender, and this thing again is very custom.
Okay.
So it's set up for the handles and the hoops.
Yep.
You know, shaping here with the hoop end. You know, bending the actual hoop here is on the same wooden jig that, I don't know, this thing has been here.
It looks like it's been there a minute.
It's been here longer than me. And then from there, the process was a little bit different with the old hinge assembly. But again, that's changed with the design of the new one. So we have end caps.
Yep.
And that's actually different than the old one. The old one actually had that bonefish, the original throwback Yak Attack logo. So that logo, at this point, no longer exists in any of our products. But your foam, everything goes on here in this process into another custom machine here that nobody has seen yet, since this is a pretty new product.
Ooh.
I haven't done a video on it since, you know, kind of waiting for the launch. But so your two pieces of your hinge will go in here. And the pin that holds it all together is loaded here on this side, clamped in, gets drilled through. Then you have your pneumatic there that drives the pin through the bottom once you drill press it. And then on to packaging and everything from there. So this is the way the process works now, is it gets lasered straight.
Got it.
Very hard to load in that machine and laser once it's all bent.
Yeah,
it takes up a lot more room. So it's lasered flat before it goes into the bender.
Yep.
This is the pilot hole that holds that arm cradle in place. So that's actually the alignment pin as well when it goes into the laser.
Got it.
So then on through we have the RotoGrip phone holder components here. They build those. I mean, even down to your sticker made on the large format printer upstairs.
Oh, we didn't get to that yet.
No, we'll pop back upstairs and check some of that stuff out. On through, this is our custom jig table for building the sand rig surf carts. Used as storage for the moment, but it has, you know, different slots all the way around it where you actually load all the different the nuts and everything on the frame that hold the floor panels in place. And so they'll actually go and they'll load all the nuts in, lay the frame over it, put the panels on, drill down through.
Got it.
The nut pockets hold everything.
There it is.
So again, it's not just the Yak Attack products; it is the thought and the process of the Yak Attack products that really make them good.
Yeah. Great tethers. Big old stickers.
Yep, your
also made, like you said, made in house.
Made right here in this building. We have
boxes,
different boxes. A lot of the boxes you're going to see right here are for packaging or for case packs.
Got it.
So
you brand the ones that go out individually. Yeah.
So again, that's another one of those things that it's kind of back and forth, but you know, the colored box here, I mean, they look great in retail stores.
Yeah, they do.
They get expensive.
I literally have some of your boxes that they look so pretty that when I take that out, I put it up on in my garage.
Yeah, I actually have some in my closet that I'll reuse for photography. That Christmas morning with wrapping paper, I've done that a few times.
But I can imagine they get expensive.
But yeah, as one of the new kids on the block here years ago, our old shipping manager Tony, like, he got his photo on the cell block combo kit box.
Oh, whoa, look at this.
I was like, oh, look at Tony, how do I get that cool? And so yeah,
you're gonna be featured in.
We designed the bar cart box here, and again, this is all designed in house.
Yep.
We got our box size, and I started printing out everything and taping it to the box. You know what we wanted it to start looking like, and then handed it off to our graphic designer. And
how much you pay to make that happen?
Actually, the first time I saw my ugly mug on a box, I was like, that's it. I don't want to see that again.
Oh no,
I'm sorry I asked for it. So yeah, I put it off on the other employees now.
I love it.
But so this is going to be the tow and stow assembly area.
Yep.
So we do the bar carts, the bunksters, the scupper carts, the sand tires, everything here. It's kind of blocked off right now. Obviously, scupper cart doesn't run as much. Not as big of a product as the bunkster or the bar cart because, you know, it's kind of a one kayak deal there.
Right.
You know, no other manufacturers would recommend a scupper cart.
Right.
If you've ever been on Facebook, online, in any of those forums, and you've like, hey, which scupper cart, or is this a good scupper cart to get? You know, you go from getting, you know, the usual maybe 2 comments to 187 comments.
Yep.
Don't use that. Don't use that.
Not rated for that.
So, you know, Kobe's aren't pumping out high volume at the moment.
By high volume, I mean 0. So what would you say your #1 selling product is? Yeah,
that's going to be the BlackPak.
BlackPak?
Yeah. I have to say, I mean, that is the most widely accepted kayak crate that exists.
Right.
You know, everybody starts off with a milk crate. At least I
started off with a milk crate.
I did as well.
Yeah.
You know,
some people go straight to the BlackPak.
Oh, I did. You know, all the things. You know, putting on rod holders and crisscrossing bungee through the top so my stuff didn't fall. It still fell out a few times when I turtled. You chase those Plano boxes. Yeah. Oh, everybody turtles.
I haven't turtled yet.
Yet?
Yet. It's always a yet. It's going to happen. But turtling's different than just like falling out. You literally flipped your kayak over.
Oh, yeah, I've done that multiple times.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to start river fishing more. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I would say nowadays with the advancement in the stability of kayaks, you're more likely, I think, to fall out nowadays than a complete turtle.
Yeah.
But also, I love big rapids, you know, and the rivers and things like that. So I've gotten myself into some sketchy situations.
You're asking for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And those were the earlier days. I mean, long before I was an employee.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you're more qualified.
Oh yeah, definitely never go out without that PFD.
Yep.
You've seen and heard way too much to take any chances with my life.
It's wild. And you guys have been running the Nowhere No Share sticker in this past month, haven't you?
Oh yeah, so yeah, we actually use that as our sticker of the month.
Yeah.
You know, coordinating with KFast.
Heck yeah.
To give that away as our free sticker to help spread the word.
Appreciate that.
You know?
Thank you.
And they're on the front desk when you walk in the building, up for grabs for anyone.
I love it.
So we're back here. Bob is not in.
So this is the guy who's creating all the jigs.
Yeah, the guy I've been talking up the whole time.
Yeah.
Maybe Bob's off today.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, you're going to miss him, but he is again a brilliant guy, and makes all kinds of wonderful things. This is actually a contraption he's making to help them load pallets.
All right.
For actually, I think the granulator is what that's for. So he's got some.
He's like a mad scientist back here.
Oh yeah.
Like, how can I make everyone else's life easier?
The workshop. He's got his end mill over here where he mold or fabricates all the plates and components for all those fixtures you've seen here that used to assemble our components. So it's an endless graveyard of wood and aluminum shavings back here.
I like it. So what's your second most popular? Like, walk me down the line. I imagine you got BlackPak, all the sizes, all the colors.
That goes, BlackPak. Your ShortStacks are really high up the list.
Okay.
I would say kayak carts are very high.
All right.
On that as well. Universally with everything.
Got it.
There was a time when the RotoGrip, just the single RotoGrip,
really
was our biggest seller by volume, not by dollars. I mean, it's a low dollar
by volume
pretty thing, but yeah, by volume, that was by far the biggest seller. That's changed, once the double header paddle holder came along. Cannibalized. Get the words out of my mouth. It cannibalized some of the sales with that. Obviously, it's a better product.
But when you compete against yourself,
double header off the side than the RotoGrip's in there. But so this is another one of our CNC machines here. We have Jesse over here. He's screwing, what you just heard. He's screwing everything into a custom milled plate, a fixture that holds the track in place, and so that he'll input the program for whatever track that he's running and cutting. And the machine runs through, rounds edges and drills the holes.
Okay. This looks familiar because this is what came on the swing arm crossbar.
Yeah, so swing arm crossbar, the sand rig surf cart, the command center crossbar, and for whatever reason, what you see here, these did not pass quality control, and it could be for a variety of reasons.
Sometimes you can see, sometimes you can't.
Yeah, sometimes you see. Actually, I'd say that's probably it right there. It's got some blemishes on it.
That'll get it pushed to the bin, huh?
Yep. So something's not.
Like, I'll do that in the first week of owning it. I'm beating the crap out of it.
Yeah. We want it to look as nice as possible when the customer gets it.
Oh, I get it.
GearTrac was a huge part of what we did years ago.
Right.
But as kayaks have evolved, they come with so much GearTrac on them now. So adding
back then they were adding
it is not as necessary as it used to be. So a lot more of that business is in OEM partnerships now.
All right. The evolution of kayak fishing and manufacturing and use.
So this is part of finished goods. Obviously, bigger stuff is over here, but all the smaller things are going to be in these bins throughout the way.
All right. Where's the Wendell shopping cart at?
The shopping cart?
Yeah. Where's the shopping? Where's it at? I thought you were going to have it ready.
Let's talk about it. No, Jake Suvat got a shopping spree, so I guess you can too.
Oh man.
So yeah, everything in SKU order here all the way down through it. All the smaller stuff is going to be right here. So when we get a web order from a customer, they'll print out the pick list.
Okay.
And a member of the shipping team will come over here,
take it, scan it,
MightyMount switch, boop, and add it to the basket. We've got
Gorilla wrench.
The Gorilla wrench there. From retractors, rigging bullets, then on into some of those soft goods. We got cup holders.
I have this on my Bonafide RVR and my Old Town PDL Pro.
Yeah, we got some of our bigger bins here that they picked from the Visi flags, and we saw them over there building the VisiPole 2. So that is the complete package there. And obviously we have a lot less of those than we do the Visi flags. That's probably why they're on the list for building.
Got it. What I want to do is get a bunch of track mount, not for my kayak, but for my workshop.
Absolutely.
And then, like you had in your office, I saw you had a bunch of cup holders and you just storing stuff in there. I just want one track everywhere.
Oh yeah, I've got
so it comes like
GearTrac all over the desks in my office. Always have.
That's what I really want to make. I do all my videos right there.
Yeah.
On a lot of my winter videos on my workshops. It's like it'd be nice to have the tools, and right now it's
track packs.
Yes.
Set that phone holder up on the desk.
Yes.
To, you know,
have different places for it
when you don't have your handy cameraman available.
I know. Thanks, Jake. By the way, there it is.
Visi Carbon Pros.
Got that one.
EMS Force. That's the just box after box after box of the through hole wiring system.
Okay.
So that's the big 4-hole one.
Yeah.
The big one for your live scope size plugs. I'd say one of our biggest, most recent purchases here, and this was needed to, bring the Leaderboard to fruition. So as you can see,
the laser
here. Yep. So this is the laser. It's lasering that board as we speak.
It's almost done. You can go check it out. You can grab that.
And so they literally run one at a time.
Wow.
So most of the time we have one employee over here, sometimes two, if we're behind, but most of the time we have one person over here. So literally as that one is being lasered,
someone's finishing it.
Someone's over here doing the final assembly, and about the time that she's done, she turns around, grabs the next one, loads it, and it runs while the assembly process is going.
There it is.
But again, as we were talking earlier, this laser has enabled us to do other things, like lasering that logo on the leverage landing net handle.
Yep.
And I would love to see that transfer into any of the other products that we kind of do the same thing with, like the boom sticks and everything else. And so get a nice Yak Attack logo on there that won't scratch off.
Got it. So
again, that's just part of that evolution of our ability to manufacture and that product development process. So here, the magical door that everything works together.
There it is.
That is the shipping door.
If you bought something from Yak Attack,
so
went out that door.
By the end of the day, it's actually difficult to walk through here because it's lined up. All these carts and racks are lined up here for USPS or UPS.
Yep.
It shows up about 4 o'clock at the end of the day.
They got a job.
We've got freight trucks going out for all these orange wrap pallets that you see right here in front of you.
Germany, yes
sir. So
that for Germany?
Yeah, one of our partners, Element 2. So I guess that's one thing some people might not know about us.
I didn't realize you have so much going out international.
All over the world, right here out of Farmville, Virginia. So, I mean, we're talking Kayak Korea, Australia, Puerto Rico,
that's cool.
Canada. We have an awesome distributor in Canada. And now Element 2 is the big one in Europe, basically. And so they distribute this all over Europe. So we have, 8 pallets here getting ready to make their way across the pond for the kayak anglers over there.
You have like your own shipping container here soon. I mean, that almost.
Yeah, one of these days we'll get there. I mean, we started with, 1 pallet when we started this deal. We actually partnered with Big Adventures. They load up kayaks, we load up accessories.
You fill in the spaces?
Yeah. And so the orange pallet wrap, most pallet wrap is clear.
Right.
So this was actually something that I talked our team into doing. It's a little bit more expensive, but we chose this orange pallet wrap. So when this orange pallet shows up,
everyone knows.
They know what it is.
Yeah.
They know it's that Yak Attack.
Yeah. What is this? This is the same color.
Yeah, I forgot. It's and I don't want to ride that anybody any harder about what happened with that situation. It's a terrible situation. But as soon as it went viral, immediately it was like, oh my God, look at that color. So this is actually something that we've had here in the building again longer than myself.
Right.
So we were actually working on some seat risers for this OEM customer for their seat, and so that we actually had this cut out here in the building.
So funny.
So with all that stuff
and that color,
when all that
wild.
Stuff went wild.
That's wild. Low profile.
Got my messy boat graveyard over here.
Oh man, it's like a dream.
It needs some love. Things just got moved around a lot here recently, so it's a bit of a mess. But
so you're just testing your stuff on kayaks. As we do a lot of your videos on them.
So we actually have a few boats here I'd like to get rid of to make room for newer things. I mean, there's a lot of cool things that are out there on the market now.
Yep.
That new canoe Max.
Oh, the Unlimited Max?
Yes, that
I like
Unlimited
it.
Max. A U10. I'm a river boater.
Okay.
I would love to get a U10 to do some rivering with.
So how many people you got working here?
It varies, you know, from slow season to busy season. Obviously, you always have some rollover, but most of the time we're running about 60 employees.
Okay.
That includes, you know, our engineers and, you know, our 3 designers and office staff,
Got it.
HR,
Back
customer
office.
service.
Yep.
So, I mean, out here in assembly, what, maybe 20, 25 or so from this side back. You know, 10 or so injection molded employees, so a little bit of everything. Yeah, so that's the granulator that I was talking about. Here, everything rides up this. We only run it in the mornings before office hours. So from about 6 to 8, this will run. You heard how loud it was when we first got here this morning. So yeah, it keeps it quiet. Otherwise, you know, customer service, you would hear this thing in the whole building.
Well, this is the wall that you took to ICAST.
Well,
Or
actually,
it looks like one.
This came out of that ICAST wall. In the past, we've taken like 4 foot of grid wall to showcase product at ICAST.
Yeah.
So this past year, ICAST 2025, I wanted to do a bigger wall. You know, as we're working with these retailers and the bigger box stores, and they're picking up, you know, we're getting 4 foot of wall space in the stores. It's like, hey, let's show them what 12 foot looks like.
Yeah.
And it went over huge. And so we decided, hey, maybe it's time we did this here at our place.
Yeah.
So not everything is up there.
I got this bag. I love it.
Oh yeah.
And this bag. I love that one. I've used that quite a bit.
Well, yeah, the backwater dry pack. I mean, I use that every day.
Yeah,
that's
this
what
will
I
be
haul my
going.
laptop around.
This will be going on the front of my RVR, strapping it down when I get back out here in the spring.
So there's a lot of things here. Obviously, you don't see on the wall. The carts and the BlackPaks and the ShortStacks and all the big stuff, but everything that hangs for the most part is up here. We're missing a few colors and different things. So you see like how much of this stuff from here over we make right here in house versus you know, a dozen items here that, you know, we've just recently brought into our lineup here. So up here is our printing department. So we have a large format printer. So all of our stickers, all of our box labels, everything is done right up here.
Oh, nice.
So I have a good assortment of different things here, from just your logo decals. So this is actually just white vinyl that this machine, and just got razor blades in it, and it cuts out the shapes the same it does, you know, as the printed stickers. So we can run those. We've got the ones like this, and of course, as always, the decal of the month. Which it has a labeled bin. So yeah, all of the stickers on the outside of your BlackPak.
There they are.
And so this is actually, just like everything else, had a ton of thought put into it. So we actually have a very thick vinyl that's underneath it that's going to hold up to the weather, but from there it gets a clear laminate over top of it to further protect it. And in sourcing and looking for the right laminate to go over top of it, you see this one has a bit of a texture. Yeah. And so that was intentional to kind of match that outer texture of the BlackPak Pro.
That's so process is
very intentional.
I have like half these stickers.
So again, those run right off that machine. Here, Heather is actually processing some of the 3-inch Yak Attack Get Hooked decals.
Okay.
So everything will come off this machine. And as you can see here, it looks like we are running swing arm crossbar labels. And so essentially you load a roll in the back, feed it in, it prints everything out. If it needs to be laminated, it gets moved over to this other machine here, where it'll roll it through for that lamination process if need be. And anything like that, like the BlackPak stickers, it gets printed, moves over here, gets laminated, and then comes back over to this printer again to be cut out.
Okay.
So these little angles you see right here, those little L's, it actually has lasers in here that uses that to realign everything so it knows where to cut it once you load it back in.
All right, so Wade, we saw this before we went up. I saw this at ICAST.
Right.
You talked about it. However, have you made some iterations on it since?
Yeah, so, you know, again, you met our designer, so obviously we can't crank everything that we show off and, you know, we tease all at one time.
Yeah.
But this is back in the development process now. So we have our prototype here that everybody showed at ICAST.
Yep.
A lot of features, a lot of parts. You know, had this quick disconnect system here. But again, part of that development process is, you know, costing and time and labor and, you know, components. It costs a lot to manufacture these molds that we make everything with here in house.
Right.
And again, a lot of time, a lot of money tied up into those things. So just this quick connect piece right here that you see, I think that was 6 molds.
Oh wow. Okay.
So again, you know what that looks like at the end of the process.
Yep. Now we do.
So one of the redesigns we've been playing with here since then is utilizing the new Zero Play LockNLoad that we released here this year with that. And essentially, an arm with a ball joint. This thinner one here, that's one of the first prototypes where we're getting our sizing. I would say from our discussion that'll look more like the 4-inch or the 8-inch extension arms on the rod holders. Once it's done, a much beefier look, but that rides on a ball joint. So we've cut 6 parts down to 2 here in this redesign, in this iteration. And again, hopefully, have it not be a $500 cart at the end of the day, but hopefully $250, $300.
Right.
Whole process.
How
here
far are we out on something like this being done?
Again, it's hard to say with development. We try to shoot for deadlines and keep people updated, obviously, with the anchor reel.
Oh yeah.
Which we're way behind on now, and people are letting us know. So I don't want to say
like something good about ICAST. It's not really bad about ICAST.
Well, I think that's one of the misconceptions from ICAST in the last few years. Yeah,
right.
It's a dealer show.
Yeah.
So we build things and we put them in front of dealers' faces and we gauge interest.
Sure.
It's one of the big things. It's like, hey, this is going to be our showstopper, and turns out people go crazy, about this instead, and so then we'll shift our focus.
Taking notes.
It actually happened several years ago with the track pack at ICAST.
Yeah.
We had, I think, Leaderboard. We had that first iteration of the Switchblade live scope pole.
Yeah.
Track pack stole the show. So as soon as we got back from ICAST, that was the priority.
Yeah.
But so you get that interest, and then dealers will start placing orders at that time too.
Pre-orders
So
for it.
So you have time to prioritize, you have time to build to meet those dealer orders, in those pre-season.
And that's the misconception. Since there's so many content creators like me and everyone else running around, people think, oh, why can't I find it on your website?
You took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, that's always. When's it going to be on your website?
I don't see that on their website. But again, so you've seen the process, so you see how long it takes to really bring some of these things from a 3D printed part to fruition, from the design process and making sure every piece works together the way it needs to work together. You change one part and 2 or 3 other components have to change.
Bones.
So yeah, it's a lengthy process, but that's what makes it the best kayak accessory out there on the market.
What is one thing you'd wish people would know? Maybe it's the number one question that you may get, or maybe a frustration. Like, I wish people would know this about Yak Attack. What would that be? Or maybe a couple of things.
I think a lot of it we've already talked about. I mean, it is how much work goes into the components right here in this building in Farmville, Virginia. Again, from conception and the whole process all the way through to shipping out the door is all done under this one roof, which is very hard to say about any American-made company. There is sourcing involved, obviously, screws and other components like that.
Aluminum extrusions, all that stuff,
But yeah, I mean, most of that process is all done right here under this building by the people that I spend every day with, all my friends, and so it's a lot of love that goes into everything that we do, and that's what makes it special.
Yeah, I like it. Is that a wrap?
I guess that's a wrap, brother. Really appreciate you coming by.
Appreciate you.
Word.